Hello and welcome! My name is Iberethwin Arbenlow, and I'm a blogger and photographer for Second Life. Today I'm going to be explaining Materials-Enabled Mesh, what it means for your photography, and how to shoot it properly. So Materials-Enabled Mesh is an option within Second Life that basically allows for shine to hit the mesh and create realistic effects. It's a little bit more in-depth than that, so I'll explain it in as little detail as I can so that I don't bore you out of your minds. So there's two main aspects to Materials-Enabled Mesh. The first of which is the specular/gloss effects, which is basically the light shining. So you can see here I have light reflectors that are shining on this material. So this is a leather material. Leathers and glasses and plastics and metals, they are the most commonly used for this kind of sort of shine. So that's the first one, the specular/gloss. The second aspect is the normal maps, which is basically like a cloth texture map. So instead of just texture as in like the colors, we're talking about the actual texture of the material. So let me show you what I mean by that. So here is a materials-enabled item. This is not textured by the normal means of texture, as in there's no color. If you look at this without the materials-enabled lighting, it looks like this. Much different, much unattractive. So here is the way that it's supposed to look. So if you have your lighting on, then you will see this, and if you have your lighting off, you will see this. So it makes a huge difference in the depth of the material that you're wearing. Let me show you in reality. So here I have these leather pants. Very pretty. If I turn the lighting off, I have advanced lighting model on and local lights on. So if I turn either of those off, these turn into very plain pants. They don't really even look like leather anymore. The sheen is gone and a lot of the texture is gone because a lot of it lives in this advanced lighting model and the local lights. So the problem with materials in Second Life is that it's not native to the Second Life viewer in a way that makes it sort of mandatory. Really, it's an option that you can turn on and off. But by default, most people will have this option turned off. So you will see, like in your demo, you'll see this, which is not very entertaining. So if you don't have the lights on correctly, you won't see what it really looks like. And that goes true for your photography as well. That means that you may get some pair of pants in a blogger pack and you take a photo of them that's not really doing the creator justice. In this case, Azuchi made these pants and this top. And if I shoot this without the lighting on, it's going to look a lot less attractive and do the creator a lot less justice, because look at how much detail is in this with the materials enabled. So to get to your photo tools menu, which is like a quick menu in Firestorm, you just hit Alt-P. It brings it there and away. Or you can also put it in your toolbar. Under Avatar toolbar buttons, you can find the photo tools button and just drag it into your toolbar, wherever your toolbar may be. Okay, so let's talk about the actual lighting aspect of this. So, like I mentioned briefly, you need to have projector lights to be able to see these effects. Now, I'm a big proponent, as most of you will know, of no shadow lighting. And it's great for skins, but it is not good for materials-enabled items. So this is one of the cases where I would tell you that you need to have your advanced lighting model on, and you need to have local lights on. And not only do you need to have local lights on, but you need to have projectors of lights. So let me show you what that means. So I'm going to go to a darker wind light because this ambient light that I have on the portrait wind light is way too bright, as you can see. Shiny, shiny. We don't want that. So I'm just going to go, let's just go to a default midnight setting. So not even a custom wind light, just standard midnight. Okay, so I have light projectors on. you can see here these are two light projectors, and I'm going to show you how to make these. But here you can see with the light projectors it's reflecting on my pants. So I'm going to turn these lights off and change my pants, and then we'll get started. Okay, now I have no pants and it's dark and it's scary and no one wants to see this. Okay, so we're gonna create these projectors. It's really very simple to do. All you need to do is make a prim. So I'm going to hit Control B and bring up my build menu, or you can just go up to your build menu and do this. And I'm just going to make one of these square prims, the default prim. And then I'm going to go to Features. So by default you'll start in General. I'm going to Features. Then I'm going to click Light. Now by default this gives you a white light, but that's not really a natural light because light is usually slightly yellow or slightly blue. So we're going to turn this light into sort of an orangey yellow color to give it a more realistic look. You want sort of a pastel color. And then you're going to lift it to somewhere where you would expect to have light. So we'll pretend like there's a lamp post or something over here. Basically, you look where you would find light projectors. So maybe your light projector is going to be the moon. Whatever in your photo would be projecting light. So in this case, we'll pretend like this is a lamp. We'll keep this color. I'm going to create another one. I'm going to shift and hold the green because that's the right axis for that. And then it's going to create a new prim that I'm going to put behind it. And you don't have to put a light prim behind it. You can just do one side light, but I want to show you what it looks like with two different lights. So I'm going to create a blue light that looks more like moonlight. So I have this light which looks sort of like a lamp light, and this light which looks sort of like a moonlight. I'm going to make this more transparent so you can see me better. More transparent. Okay, so let's zoom back in. So now I have two light sources. And we want to zoom in. Okay. So my yellow light source is facing this area, and my blue light source is facing this area. So you can see how the different lights look different. So this has blue undertones, this has yellow undertones. And you can see when I move my mouse that it changes where the shine comes from, because it's all about realistic shadow and light. So normally in Second Life people bake the shadows in because that's what happened before this was enabled. And still a lot of people do that because most consumers do not use this lighting. But there are so many more options to create this in-depth sort of mesh. If you look, too far. Run away, zoom. If you look up close here, let's look at this here, this blood. So look at the shine of the blood. Now Azuchi, which is run by a guy named Sans, he's a really great mesh creator. So he created a different kind of gloss for the blood than for the leather. So it reflects differently all over. So it's not like a flat reflection. And you can see how much depth is on here. Now if I turn this off, if I turn off my lights and then I turn on just like regular wind light, let's just turn on like midday wind light, you lose so much of that depth. It just kind of looks like nothing. I mean, it still looks cool because he's got the blood and all of that, and he's got some light and shadow baked in, but you really lose the total effect. So let's turn those lights back on, and let's go back to a darker setting. Midnight. So these light projectors are really very important. And also, on the Maitreya body and the Lelutka head, they have shine options built into their menus. So you can see here, I have my Lelutka shine up high. Hello, teeth. I have my Lelutka shine up high. So you can see the pores. And that's how I created, let me go to my, that's how I created this photo. Using the options of the materials enabled, I created this kind of effect because of the shine. And the same thing goes for the Maitreya body. It has a shine option using materials enabled. Same for this. So this robe and this lingerie, both by Azuchi, this Maitreya mesh body, and this Lelutka head all use materials enabled to create shine and shadow and all of that good stuff. So to create more realistic looking photos, you can use these tools to really make an impact. So look at how much more realistic this looks compared to just like sort of traditional flat Second Life. Leather, boobies, leather, blood, all of that shine. And you can make these lights whatever color you want. So maybe you want it to be outside of a club. Let's change this to like a magenta. Now it looks like I'm in front of a neon light. So here you've got sort of a natural looking light, and here you've got a neon light. It's all in your projectors. And you can play around with your wind light. You could use a different kind of setting. But the end result for this material is really dependent on having your advanced, let me show you here, your advanced lighting model on and your local lights on. It's almost the same sort of concept as face lights were originally, except instead of adding ambient light, we're adding light that creates these reflections on the materials. And this can go into not just clothing, but also builds. So let me bring up, I have down here, this is the free Azuchi gift from We Love Roleplay. So Azuchi used materials enabled on everything in here. So there's a shine on the floor. There's shine on these demon masks, or whatever they are. So it's not just about your outfits, it can affect your space as well. And I mean, it depends on the person who created your space. Because sometimes, not just space, but clothes as well, sometimes creators in Second Life do not create very realistic looking materials enabled items. Sometimes it's just mostly shine. So it's going to depend on the item itself. But if you know that a creator does materials enabled items like Fate Wear and Fate Play, Azuchi, Figment, lots of places do use materials enabled items. So in order to give the best shot of their clothing, you'll want to see how it looks like with the lights on as well as just by itself. So the no shadow lighting is not the answer for everything. Projector lights will matter if you're trying to do materials enabled shots. Or if you even just want to have a sweaty looking Lelutka head, you can do that too. Now, the one thing this doesn't really work for is hair. So far I have not found any materials enabled hair that looks good. It mostly just looks really shiny. So if you find any, feel free. But that is about it. I apologize that this is a little bit of a rambly tutorial, but I felt like this was a really important aspect of photography that no one really talks about. And I myself had trouble trying to figure out how to make some of these items look good. I'd seen the ads, and you know, people think that this is just Photoshop, but it's actually these materials enabled items. And I'll also include a video from Linden Labs in the description where they talk about materials enabled items. Thank you for joining me and bearing with my babble. And if you have any questions about materials enabled anything, you can ask them in the comments or send me a message on Second Life, Plurk, Flickr, or leave them, I already said in the comments. And if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see, you can leave those in the same places. And otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Thank you.